episode of Power Move Makers. This series was created with a simple goal in mind: to bring to the table high-level executives, successful entrepreneurs, and just all-around inspiring human beings. Not just focusing on their success, but more important, shining a spotlight on the road they traveled to get there. Now, this week's guest, I have to admit, I am not a football fan. Not at all. I know almost nothing about football. I know almost nothing about insurance, but I know his name. And in his world, if you mention insurance, if you mention sports, pro athletes, football, it is synonymous with the name Big Daddy. Long before I ever had the chance to meet him, I heard about him. This is a guy who is, he's known as the man who makes it happen. He has relationships in a Rolodex that is a mile or two long. Please welcome to this week's Power Move Makers series. This is going to be a great conversation for anybody who's looking to build a business, establish long-term relationships, and just get out there and make your mark in your industry. Please welcome Mr. Rich Salgado, AKA Big Daddy. Rich, what's up, man?
Wow. Good morning. I'll tell you, that was probably the best introduction I've ever received. So I applaud you. But thank you. It's a great day.
It is. Every day above ground, man. It really is a great day. You are a fellow New Yorker. So I love having conversations with people who are from the city that never sleeps, because I believe that there's a hustle here that is unmatched anywhere else in the world. And you are living proof of that hustle. You say it's a good day. One of the things I didn't mention in your intro, which I think is so important, you are a survivor. Brain aneurysm, yeah. 08. Recently overcome COVID-19. Typically, I don't start my interviews this way, but let's go there first. Yes, it's a good day. But for you, that takes on a whole different meaning.
Yeah, it's, and it kind of relates to my business. As a young man, in sports, all these young men, they have this Tarzan, I'm unbreakable, I know what I'm doing kind of attitude. And myself included, it was discovered that I had an aneurysm, I remember leaving I had gone through some testing and whatnot. And I was very fortunate because my aneurysm didn't pop. We caught it. And so when I never forget, when I left the last doctor's office, I had went downstairs and I sat in the hospital cafeteria, and I kind of felt sorry for myself. Like, I was like, man, how could this happen to me? And I was questioning it. And then I finally said to myself, I said, look, about an hour in, I sat there, I had some lunch and coffee. I said, if life were to end tomorrow, I could never, ever complain that I didn't do some of the most incredible things on this planet. And what I mean by that is, obviously, growing up in New York, being from two immigrant parents, going to a major university like Maryland on a football scholarship, and then getting into a business that allowed me to be in front of the biggest names in sports entertainment. I got to be a part of a Super Bowl, and this is 2008 because 2007 the Giants won, and I did all these incredible things. So I said, I can't be mad or upset or sad, because look at all the things that I've done. And I went through the surgery, and it was not a simple recovery, but it was a 2-year period where it took me to really get back to normal, where I could walk side by side with you and not lag behind or just be exhausted, because at one point I was laughing because I have a big scar here. You can't really see it, but because they did a great job. I had 80 staples in my head at one
Wow. Wow.
and that was I felt like I was one of the basketball players wearing a hat in June, a ski cap, because it just I stuck out. This is September, so the weather's still warm and whatnot, and then afterwards I was just like, you know what, just take it off, and I took it off, and it wasn't that I was proud that I was alive. It was more that I was proud that I went through this thing and then I survived it. Like the only one thing that really had me bummed out was when I was in the hospital. You sign all these waiver forms and everything, and the doctor or the nurse said to me, there is a possibility that you're going to be here for, a couple weeks. And I was like, man, I can't be here for a couple weeks. So I walked out of the hospital in 7 days.
Oh, wow. To
Yeah.
God be the glory, man. Thank
Yeah.
God.
So, and how that happened was I'm one of those guys that needs air conditioning because it was hot out and whatnot. And I got up and I'm like, man, is somebody turn off the air or what? So I'm walking down the hallway with 2 roller IVs trying to find somebody to turn on the air conditioning. And the nurse is like, oh my God, what are you doing out of bed? Blah, blah, blah. And I have a catheter, no less. So the doctor said, we're just going to give you an exam right now, physical. I did the physical, and he goes, listen, you're a bull. You can go home. Because
Beautiful.
we fixed, the problem. And, that doesn't mean go run 10 miles or go out and party, but go home. Go be at home. You don't need to be here. And that was kind of that whole situation. And then it led to so many, it was one of those things where when you say that I know a lot of people, yes, I do. And when I was in the ICU unit, it was kind of funny. I had some certain friends that came to visit. And one of them said, and, one of them told somebody else and so on. And then my phone started to blow up in the hospital. So the nurse turned off my phone because it was just, had to go through their front, had to go through their main line, and then you connected it to my phone. It wasn't like I gave you a direct number. So they were getting tired of playing house operator. And I'll never forget my neighbor said, do you understand that if everyone knew that he was in here, you'd probably have to have a security guard at the gate, at the elevator, because everyone would be trying to come in here to see him. And even though I was like, my face was out to here and I was all stitched up and everything, I kind of laughed out of my one side of my cheek because I kind of had the idea, and I didn't want everybody to know. But word got out and whatnot. But, hey, look, I knock on wood, I get out of bed every morning, and I pray to God every day at night that, hey, thank you for letting me be here. And the big joke is, like you mentioned before, hey, I survived coronavirus. I survived a brain aneurysm. And here's the funny one. And I survived divorce. So the good Lord's not ready for me yet. He's got a plan for me. So, that's a joke I shared with a writer. I was featured in a magazine when the writer said, you want me to put that in there? I said, absolutely, because those 3 were challenges.
Yep, absolutely. I want to go into your backstory, but before I do, I want to stay here for 1 second.
Sure.
You looked your mortality dead smack in the face. Brain aneurysm, that's not good news.
No.
COVID, especially in the middle of the pandemic, before the vaccine, that's not good news. You're on the other side. You have built an incredible business. You have relationships coming out the wazoo. What's important to you now? How does life look different to you?
Well, life is different because I want to be a part of life. So you have to make changes. And And I have. My first change was after being with having had COVID-19, was to get myself in better physical shape. So, and I'll share this with everyone. I was 396 at one point. That's how
Ooh, you big boy. How tall?
6'4". Then I decided with a friend of mine whose name is Hitesh Patel. I call him Coach Hitesh. He dragged me to the gym, and we were going every morning at 6 a.m. And we've been doing that since last August. So I went from 396 to 331.
Beautiful.
That's what I am right now. This shirt I'm wearing is a 4X. I could probably wear a 3X, and
Beautiful.
so that was really the first change I had to make, was getting control of, my health, my weight. And then it was making other changes. I always go by this mantra that I live by, and it's called eliminate distractions. A lot of people, they start out with a plan, they try to make a plan, but then they find reasons not to put the plan into motion. And what I mean by that is, if your plan has to be between 9 and 5, follow through on your plan. Then everything else comes in line accordingly after 5 o'clock. Because if you're really trying to stick to that plan, you really have to devote your full effort, time, concentration to that plan. And a lot of people get distracted, and it's simple little things like, hey, I got to go get my girlfriend a gift. Hey, I got to go get this kid a gift. Hey, I got to go do this. Hey, I got to do that. And then, it's like going to the gym. Why do I go to the gym every day that early in the morning? Because that's when I know I can get it in. I don't make an excuse for not going. Obviously the sleep, it gets deprived a little bit, but I feel great that I go at that hour. It's out of the way. And then, I go about 6 a.m. and I'm done by 8. So I'm in the shower by 8:05, 8:10. Off I go on my way. So, those are probably the changes that I think were the most important to make. And then the other thing was, surrounding yourself with people that are really your friends. There's always a lot of wants, a lot of asks, and a lot of requests, especially when you're in my world. And you have to figure those things out. And that's the only thing I think that I've lacked in over the years, but I've gotten better at. I guess as you get older, you get more knowledge and you get more wiser. Well, that's the one thing that I've discovered, that you have to analyze everyone and everything, because there's tons of opportunities out there that come every day.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a matter of picking the right one, the one that makes the most sense, and the one that allows you to go to sleep at night knowing that you did right, you didn't do wrong, and that people can't badmouth you or curse you or for doing something that wasn't the right thing.
You mentioned a few things that I want to highlight. Our audience are comprised of people who want more out of life, entrepreneurs, success seekers, people who are not content with where they are now. They are aggressively working toward a better tomorrow. You, and I don't know how you framed it up, but I like the idea. You spoke, and I'll put it in my words, it was about discipline, right? Uh, if you were supposed to do something between 9 and 5, there can be no distractions whatsoever. So if you have to work out, if you have other things that life just happens, we know that. They cannot happen during those hours. You have built an incredible uh, insurance agency. You're the president and CEO, Coastal Advisors LLC Insurance. Did you always have this mindset Did you go into building your business with the mindset, when I'm at work, I am at work, I'm laser focused? Or is this something that has come over time? Because I don't believe that success is accidental. It is very much intentional. And people who are highly successful, yes, they're driven. Yes, they have ambition, but they have a level of commitment and discipline unlike 99% of the population. So when you were building your business, what time were you getting up? What time were you going? And I'm talking about in the early days. We can bring it up to what it has blossomed into. But in the early days, what did your level of discipline to building the business look like?
It consisted of. I used to joke around. I would be like, the name of my company is called All Night Insurance, because the hours were intense. But I'll tell you something that someone told me a long time ago. When I first interviewed with an insurance guy who wanted me to be in the business, he asked me a simple question. He goes, "How much money do you want to make a year?" All right, well, I'm making 35, 45,000 out of college. I go, well, to live in New York, at the time I was living with my parents, so I would say, if I make 100,000 a year to start off, I'd be happy. He turned around and said to me, he goes, go find another job. And I looked at him and I said, wow, why do you say that? He said to me, because that means you're not willing to work the hours that need to be worked to be successful. And I never forgot that conversation. So, I said to him, okay, so what's the rest of the story? The insurance business is the greatest business in the world because you make as much as you want to make and you work the hours that you want to work. Those are the two things that you need to think about. And I said, I got it. Well, my network was built from when I was a youth. And what I mean by that is I knew guys that, worked at the New York Jets, for instance. And they were guys that were equipment managers, ball boys, that throughout the years have all elevated to different positions, different jobs, different organizations, teams, and along those lines. Well, I stayed in touch with all those people. So think about it. You were a ball boy one day, and then the next day you're vice president of an NFL team, and a shoe outlet, meaning like Nike, Adidas, a Reebok, all these different things. I had ins at, and when I got into the insurance business, the one thing that is real, I could say the insurance field is not the greatest field because people consider it to be sleazy and, oh, he's just a salesman trying to make a sale and get to the next sale. And the one thing that I did was I went out there and let it be known that this is what I do. When I went into a room, if there was 100 people, all 100 of those people were candidates for my services.
I love it.
So I was never afraid to hand out a card, get a card. A lot of people, oh, I have insurance. Well, am I going to quit because you say you have insurance? No. Do you have it the right way? Do you have the right amount? Are you paying enough? Are you overpaying? What do you got? And when you get people, I would say a good 80% of those people would never say, yeah, I got everything covered. I know exactly what I got. No. And a lot of people sometimes would be afraid to let you know what they have because they're worried about there being a mistake. And I would say, listen, you have to look at it this way. I'm here to help you. I'm not here to work for an insurance company. I'm working for you because I'm an independent. So I don't work at McDonald's and I have to sell you Big Macs. I don't work at Burger King and I have to sell you Whoppers. I work at a diner. So I can offer the whole menu, much different menu than what these two other people are doing for you or have done for you in the past. So you talk about hours. In the beginning, I would say Monday night football game, I would be there. Tuesday night hockey game, I would be there. Being in New York, you have the Giants, the Jets, the Islanders, the Devils, the Rangers. You have the Knicks, the Nets, and you got the Yankees and the Mets. So I had sports around me to keep me so busy that I barely even went to baseball because I didn't have time with the other three. And basically, the other two, meaning NFL and NHL, was where a strong part of my business was built. And that's where I had the entree to go after new clients. So I would do, like I said, Monday night football games. I'd fly back Tuesday. I'd go to hockey games Tuesday night. Sometimes I'd go to practice on Wednesdays at hockey teams. Thursday night hockey game again. Friday I would go to a college game on Saturday. Saturday fly home. Sunday NFL game. So I was working 7 days a week, pretty straight. And it involved a lot of travel. I mean, I was flying to USC games and then red eyeing back to catch the Giants or Jet game on Sunday at MetLife Stadium.
Just for clarity, for our audience sake, you were at these games working. You
Yeah.
are there. Okay. Because I don't want anybody to get confused thinking that you're flying all around the country because you just like to be front
See,
row and center at a game.
yeah, no, I was meeting with parents. I was meeting with kids. I was meeting with coaches. I was meeting with players. I was meeting anyone that would give me an audience, I would get in front of. And being that I had access to do a lot of things that most people can't do, I just took full advantage of it. And, it's like spreading the gospel. I was spreading the gospel of this is who I am, this is what I do, and this is how I can help you. And, it landed me some of the biggest clients in sports. I mean, NHL Rookie of the Year, a Heisman Trophy winner, Super Bowl champions. I've traveled to so many different places. I've been everywhere, and those, I'll share a funny story. So one year, I get audited, right, and we go through the whole, my expenses and whatnot. So the guy says to me, you're. How do I know all this travel is not vacationing? I'm like, I said, let me ask. So here's the funny part. I said, can I speak to your supervisor? And the supervisor comes on and goes, yeah, what's the problem? I said, this gentleman that works for you is asking me if all these trips are vacation trips. I said, explain to him that no one goes to Green Bay, Wisconsin on vacation at the end of January. It's just, unless I'm hunting for bear or looking for snow or whatever, it just, and the guy starts laughing. And he didn't know who I was and what I did. So when explained it to him, he goes, yeah, you're right. I got it. So, boom.
I
But
want to dive a little deeper for a second. You're traveling all over the country. Your business, you started in 1998. How big is your staff?
back then it was me, and an assistant. And if I didn't have her at the time, there would have been a lot of juggling, and I was still juggling anyway because when you work with people, it's one on one, or if you're meeting with a husband and wife, or you're meeting with a client and it's a young client, their parents. So, there's paperwork involved. Now everything's done so remotely and, emails and whatnot, e-signatures. But back then it was a hand to hand, I was a foot soldier. I went and I walked the hills and, the mountains and everything in between just to get the client and also show them who I am and what I'm all about. So now I have a much greater operation because I have a partner. His name is Chris Muro, and we have an office in Boca Raton, and we have other offices that are in the 5 boroughs in New Jersey, and the support staff is incredible. everything gets done, and we get a lot of business, and not just professional athlete business. It's entrepreneurs, it's business owners, it's restaurant owners. It's a whole format or a whole world of clients. When I first started, it was more the athletic client, but when you're going to events like I'm going to, you get to meet business owners, you meet entrepreneurs,
Right.
and you know what? They're like, hey, I didn't know you did that. Well, hey, why don't you take a look at my stuff? Or you just plain out ask, hey, I know you might be working with somebody, but hey, there might be savings there. It might be we might be able to show you something that you don't know about, and that's what's led to becoming a bigger operation and having a great team around me.
I ask you this because people see you now. You're successful. People tend to look at folks where they are, and they don't put enough focus on where they began. And I love that you said it was an operation. You're traveling 7 days a week. You are going like the Energizer Bunny. And you're like, it's an operation of one. It was me, and then I have my assistant. And there is something to be said about putting in the work, humble beginnings, and being willing to do everything from sweeping the floor to, booking your own airline ticket to hailing a cab, whatever it might be. Long before the car services come into play, long before I can reach out to somebody in my office and say, hey, check the email and fill this out and get it back to you. Started like most entrepreneurs do, very, very humble. It's you, one other person, and just work. And I think I love that you shared that with our audience because they need to know this is the way. It doesn't matter if it's the biggest business in the world. This is how most businesses start. They start very, very small with almost no staff. It's you doing anything and everything under the sun and grinding to make it happen. I got a question because you're in insurance. That is something that most people don't like to talk about. When you think of insurance, you only think of bad stuff. It's literally synonymous with bad-ish happening.
Yeah.
You started out, and I got a couple of questions for you here. You started out with mostly athletes. Most athletes that come into the game 20, 21, 22 years old. How do you get a guy who thinks he's invincible to even want to have a conversation about insurance? And what you're very successful at it. What's your sales pitch? Sales pitch me, right? If I'm an athlete and this is early day Big Daddy, okay, you got 10 minutes of my time. What does that conversation look like?
Well, it varies. It depends on what aspect of insurance we're looking at. If you're an athlete that's a rookie, or let's even go a little bit, let's go before that.
Mm-hmm.
I insure a lot of kids that are coming out of college that are either juniors or seniors and looking to protect their future. So what I mean by that is, let's say you are a senior going into your senior year, you're most likely going to be a first round draft pick. God forbid something happens to you where you can no longer play football ever again. What are you prepared to do? Well, here's me. I'm going to give you an insurance policy that's going to give you, let's use $1 million. If they come back and say to you after you get examined that you can never, ever play football again, I'm giving you $1 million tax-free check. And what does that mean? That means that you can no longer play football, but you can go be the CEO of a company. You can go be a football coach. You could do anything you want. You just can't play the sport because you're deemed permanently disabled. That doesn't mean that you're in your deathbed or you're taken away in an ambulance or you got IVs hooked up to you. It just means that you can no longer perform the active duty that's required to be a football player. So that's number one, and that's really where we start off. Then let's take it a step further. Now you're in the NFL. Let's say you're in year 2. You have a 4-year deal. We're going to look to protect the following 2 years of your contract. Nowadays, the NFL is doing 5-year deals, and then after the guy has 2 good years, they're looking to re-up them or redo them or whatever. You're going to protect your future earnings. So that's the second step. The third step is now.
Stay there for 1 second. What does that mean exactly? You're going to protect your future earnings.
Just like we protected your future earnings when you were coming out of college because you were going to be a potential first-round draft pick.
Mm-hmm.
Now you're looking at your second contract. So we want to make sure that, God forbid, something happens before you get to that second deal, you have insurance protection. You understand now?
Yep.
So now, okay, let's go back. Now you're in your second year of your 4-year deal, and you got some pretty good money there. Well, now I explained to you that when in the United States, we're punished for being successful. And what I mean by that is called estate taxes. So let's say let's say you make $50 million. If you don't do something to protect your estate taxes from going down on you or coming on you, you will be taxed up to 55% after your demise. Let's say your estate comes out to 50 million, you're going to probably lose about 25 of that. So we sit down and we form an insurance plan to protect against estate planning. To protect against estate taxes. And also, we want to make sure that your family, if you have a wife, you have kids, anyone that's in your family is not going to, and the way I'm going to put this is going to sound funny, but miss you. Meaning because you're the one that's bringing in the income. So we want to make sure that there's some sort of relief there, because funerals are expensive. They're not always cheap. And obviously estate taxes plays a big part of it. And, the other thing, now we'll even take this a little further. You can also use insurance for many other things. And I'm talking about life insurance. The first part that we discussed was disability career-ending insurance. Excuse me. So let me make sure I clarify that. That was the first part. The second part is the life insurance and estate planning, which is something that my partner and I and our team really get in depth with, because it's a little bit more technical than career-ending insurance. And then the one thing that we do explain to people, and when you go back to mentioning insurance and what it has a stigma, we also set up insurance that is available for, God forbid, let's say me, for instance, I have an aneurysm. And I may not be around. Well, how about you have $1 million coverage, and I say to you, as you're sick in whatever capacity it is that you have going on, how about I give you money before you leave? Meaning, like, people buy insurance and they're like, oh, I don't want to leave that to them or her or this and that. Well, no, now let's have insurance set up so it's there for you to use if you have to miss a significant amount of time or before your demise, because it's all tiered, but there's insurance that pays out for terminal illness. And that, that's a more in-depth conversation and whatnot, but those are the things that we look at when we sit down. Let's say when I'd be sitting down with you.
Mm-hmm.
And give you an explanation of what you may not know or what you may be missing out on. So everything's a case by case, and I always told guys, listen, because he has 1 million and I have 5 million and the other guy has 10, the guys with the bigger number, we're not better. Our premiums are higher. So you just want to make sure you have some sort of protection, a blanket, and also make sure that you're buying the right amount and that you're not overpaying for it and that it's beneficial to you, not to the person selling it to you.
You kind of went where, or you touched on where I want to go. For the average person, you don't know much about insurance. All you're doing is shopping around for the lowest premium possible.
Yeah.
So I got to ask, you've been very successful. Why you? What makes Coastal Advisors LLC different than, for lack of a better example, Allstate, State Farm, any, Liberty Mutual? What is it if the guy who owns a pizza shop,
I have a few of those as clients.
and I know you got the local guys, and that's what I didn't want to focus too much on athletes.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
for the average, everyday, hardworking man, why do I pick up the phone and call you?
I think because, well, I don't, let me start all over. It's not that I think, I know because we have a successful track record. We are also guys that are in the mix. We're local, but we're nationwide. And we pick up the phone all the time and we treat every client the same way. It's more than just a sale. It's a relationship, it's a friendship, and the one thing that I've always tried to do is find a way to give back to a client.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's endorsing the local bakery, whether it's endorsing the local pizza guy, whether it's restaurant, it doesn't matter what it is. We'll always try to go out of our way to make sure that we give back for someone doing business with us so that we don't lose clients. And they also have a good feeling about doing business with us because they understand that we're just not salesmen. We're more than salespeople. We're here to help in whatever way we can help. I've gotten clients that I was friends with them for about 4 to 5 years, and then they became clients. Because they saw the value, they had a better understanding. And a lot of times when you're talking about insurance, it's very personal. So you really get inside somebody when you're doing insurance work because you're learning all the ABCs and they're sharing with you what they're thinking, what they're feeling, what their concerns are, what their needs are. And again, my partner Chris and I and our whole team, we dig in and we find the best solution at the best price for every client that we sit with and meet with.
Understood. Okay, so again, average Joe person insurance is not something that's high on people's list. They need it, but I'll get around to it. If I am in the market to buy insurance, can you tell me questions? I know people look at you guys, your salespeople, right? That's the stigma. That's the reputation. In insurance, it represents bad things. But from the other side, what do you suggest, whether people go with your agency or with anybody's? What questions should we be asking? Off the top of my head, I would think is, how much insurance do I need? I think that's a fair question to ask somebody in your position, and have you break it down. Are there a top 3 or top 5 questions that you suggest that anybody, whether you are a professional, whether you're making $100,000 or $100 million, What are some key questions that should be asked?
Well, without Macy's telling Gimbals how to be successful, I'll give you the Reader's Digest answer. You have to, every case, like I stated before, every potential client is a case by case. So what your needs are may be different to what my needs are. Your concerns are different than my concerns. And at the end of the day, it all comes down to pricing and product. Are you getting the right product for the right price? And what I mean by that is, I have this bottle of Arizona iced tea water here. If this goes for $1, why am I going to get another company with the same size bottle? Why am I going to pay $3 for it when I could pay $1 for this one? Those are some of the questions that So those are some of the things that need to be concerns and also asked. Why are you recommending this one when I can have this one? And you have to really. I always tell people your accountant is always one of the best resources for you to ask questions, because your accountant has an unbiased opinion.
Mm-hmm.
In most cases, not all cases, because some accountants do sell insurance. But we always tell everybody, separate everything. Because when you have one gatekeeper, that gatekeeper can't fire themselves if they lose your money or they make a bad mistake. When you surround yourself with a circle of people like an insurance guy, an accountant, a financial advisor, um, then everyone looks over everyone's shoulder, everyone's in tune, and it consists of a little bit of work. It doesn't matter what size money or business you have or whatnot. It's just putting aside the time to focus in on that subject matter, like I said earlier, between 9 and 5. Am I going to focus on business, or am I going to focus on my personal, or am I going to focus on this? You got to take the time to really evaluate and review your things. And one mistake that a lot of people make is let's just say you bought a simple insurance policy 10 years ago. You throw it under your bed, you throw it in your office desk, you put it wherever you keep your paperwork, and you don't look at it. Well, we review policies all the time because policies are changing, products are changing, laws are changing. Maybe you don't know this, but women, if you get two people, a man and a woman, both the same age, the price of a woman is much cheaper than a man. And the reason why is women outlive men. Secondly, the actuarial tables numbers, a couple of years ago, they were changed. They were made higher because people are living longer. So those are changes. Those are things that our office stays in tune with. We let the clients know. We review all the time. And you have to be willing to review and listen, because you can make changes that are cost beneficial to you as the consumer. You might be paying $10 or something, then I can come back to you and say, hey, we could do the same thing for $7.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, wow, really? Well, my guy didn't. That's right, because what happens is a lot of people, once they buy something, they put it away. And the salesperson that made the sale, they're just happy they made the sale and they're getting a residual from it. That's not what we're about. We try to educate the clients and stay in tune and show where there's mistakes and make improvements on those mistakes.
Understood. Uh, You know, and this is a question I want to pose because I want to help uh, entrepreneurs. I want to help people who are trying to get to the next level in their career, whether it be a promotion, move up in their company. You are known for your Rolodex. You're known for your relationships. Can you give somebody, and me being a fellow businessman, I know how important It is to be able to pick up a phone and the person you intend to call actually answers, or they call you. You know, like I know, most businesses in the beginning, you're hustling, you're putting out proposals, you're doing sales pitches. But when you do really good business, it turns into relationships and then referrals. Can you speak to somebody? How do you maintain great relationships? How do you increase your network? Because ultimately, that network is going to become your net worth because those people will refer business to you.
You know, I think the thing that has helped me is I always call it being at the right place at the right time,
Mm-hmm.
and being in the mix. You know, you could sit there and have you could be the smartest guy in the world, but if you don't have the communication skills, what's that going to do for you? You know, I think what helps me is that I'm open. I'm able to speak to anybody. I'm not afraid to go and ask for something. And I think that's because of I've built a confidence level, but I've always had it where, you know, it's, hey, let me ask, you know, let me find out, let me inquire. And I always had plenty of business cards around me and I handed them out and I got people's business cards. I would say, can I have your card? Can I have your, and then I would write, you know, I read a lot of improvement books early on. And, you know, one of the things that I remember reading was taking a business card and writing down how I met the guy and where. So in the beginning, I started doing that. Then it was kind of funny. A girlfriend of mine years ago said to me, "My God, look at all those business cards. Why don't you get?" And all of a sudden, a Christmas gift, a card scanner. I'm old school. I was putting everything in rubber bands and whatnot. But yeah, that's really how I built a network by being in the mix and being proactive and being not afraid to say who I am and what I do.
Excellent. Excellent. You know, you also a philanthropist. Uh, you have a youth football league. Um,
A camp, yeah, camp. Hmm.
can we talk? Why is philanthropy important to you? Why was it important for you to establish a part of your company that gives back?
Well, obviously, when I was sick and I had the brain surgery, you know, I was telling the story. I was interviewing an actor yesterday for my show, Big Daddy and Friends, and we were talking about giving back. And he asked me a question: what got me started? So I'm going to answer that same question to you. After I went to visit the hospital, when I was able to and go visit the place that saved my life, there was a youth event going on, and I saw a lot of kids. A lot of them had, you know, scars, and you know, they were sick and whatever and whatnot. I mean, and then I just said to myself, man, I remember the doctor saying to me, he goes, Rich, you would be able to help us out so much with everything that you have going on. We would love to do a fundraiser with you. And at first, I was like, man, I'm just getting back on my feet. I don't know if I could take on something like this, you know. And then I got together with one of my guys named Bob Broderick, and I said, hey, Bob, we should put on a golf outing. And we pulled it off in 4 months. And it was like I was married to this thing for 4 months. And we were able to pull it off. And we had such a great turnout, and I had a who's who, and it's all, you know, Big Daddy Celebrity Golf Classic. It's all on YouTube, and you can see all the videos and whatnot. And we had a who's who come in there for 4 years. And that's what really got me started there. As far as the football camp, my brother's an assistant coach with the Buffalo Bills. And we always talked about, well, year one, some guys from my local neighborhood came up to me and said, we should do a football camp, but we did it. It was okay. We didn't have that many kids, but I was like, you know, my brother's a football coach. I need to do this with him, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So we turned around and we partnered up and we did it. And we worked our way up to 100 kids from
Beautiful.
like 12 kids year one or 20 kids. And, we had some great sponsors like Chick-fil-A. Um, we've had restaurants and, we give the kids an NFL atmosphere where we have practice. And then after practice, we have training table. So I would get two or three different local restaurants that come in and feed all the campers, the staff, and the parents. And one of my greatest supporters and sponsors is Arizona Iced Tea. I mean, I drink a lot of their water. If you could see over my shoulder there, I have my Arizona Iced Tea refrigerator full with product. And so that is something that's really dear to my heart and my brother's, because a lot of these kids can't afford to go to games, and it's expensive. If you have a family of three or four, it turns out to be in like $1,000 by the time you get there, the tickets, food, travel time. So we wanted to bring that back to our hometown, and that's what we did. So between those two things, and then I'm also part of this. This is Share, and this is a women's empowerment group, and I'm actually the ambassador to the group. The group was the CEO and founder. Her name is Angelika Steen Olsen, has been a dear friend of mine for years. We partnered up in this, and I'm out spreading the word about gender equality and men supporting women. And it's a UN initiative, which is called He for She. So between those three things and work and some other things I have going on, I have a full docket. But it's important to give back, especially when you have social media now where everyone sees what you're doing and who you're doing it with. So instead of being selfish about it, let me involve those around me as well, to let them share in some of the experiences that I am fortunate to have experienced and get to experience.
Absolutely. I know you were, and this is not necessarily giving back, but in terms of you being out there, I know you were at some point, and I'm not sure if you still are, an ambassador for Saks Fifth Avenue, which I think is incredible. Also a contributing commentator with Fox Sports, with Fox and Friends, which I think is just great. So your time is, you're a man who uses every minute of the day. Um, you spoke about your new platform, Big Daddy and Friends. Talk to us about that. You have had a who's who of guests join you. Why was it important for you to start that?
Well, at first I was reluctant because I'm like, when am I going to do this? I'm like trying to figure out the times and whatnot. And at first, I did not want to be the producer, put it together, and all that. I just wanted to be the host. Well, actually, at first, I was going to be just a booker. But then I was like, if I'm going to do that, I might as well just book it for myself. So I decided, okay, here we go, let's do it. And it's basically calling up all my old friends, all my friends, not old, but my friends, to join me. And, one of the biggest interviews I had was Andy Reid the week of the Super Bowl. I'm beating the networks to Andy Reid before, I got him before everybody else did. So, that was a lot of fun. That was a lot of great feedback. And I've, yesterday I actually interviewed Hisham Tafik, who plays Demby in The Blacklist. So, that's a change of pace because it's out of the sports element, but he's a big sports guy. And I recommend everybody go to www.sportsnut, which is naut.com, and you can see all these great interviews or hear them. And we're also on YouTube, and we're on Spotify and also on Apple. So we're all over the place, and I enjoy doing that because it keeps me camera ready as well. Because it's you know how that is. If you don't practice your trait or your trade, then you forget. So I've taken a break away from it because I was busy with some other stuff. But now I'm back into the mix, and it's funny. I started yesterday. Now today, here I am being interviewed by you, and the rest of the week will bring some other stuff coming up, and we'll take it from there. But it's that's been a fun, rewarding thing I'm doing with Big Daddy and Friends, and I look to be doing some permanent TV, co-hosting my own show in the fall on
Oh,
one,
beautiful.
yeah, on one of the networks. So that's in play right now. So I just take it every day by day, and like I said, I thank God I get out of bed, and I'm fortunate enough to walk on this planet, and it's about doing the right thing and doing good by people, and having people, not worship you or anything like that, just respect what you're doing and who you are.
Absolutely. Hey, Big Daddy, Rich, I want to thank you for your time. I want to thank you for educating our audience. Um, I think that you have taken an industry that is not sexy. People don't just, you're not a kid and say, oh my God, I want to grow up and be an insurance agent. But you've shown when you love to do something, when you just love what you do, so many other doors open for you. You don't have to chase, uh, the most prestigious careers and industries out there. Look where your career has led you. And most people would not think that the life that you have led can come because you just did such a damn good job at your day job. You briefly mentioned, hey, my brother is the assistant coach of, with the Buffalo Bills. That's aspirational. Everybody wants to do something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I come from the music industry. I come from marketing. Everybody wants to be in the music industry. You're just damn good at what you do, and I love sharing stories like yours because it just lets people know if you keep your head low, if you put in the work, if you're willing to put in the hours, it, you could sell shoes.
Yeah.
It will open up a world that you couldn't even have dreamed of if you are the best at it and you're living your purpose. Would you agree?
I agree 1,000%. The one thing I always tell people, even if I won the lottery, I wouldn't know what, even if I won $100 million. Yeah, I'd be ecstatic and whatnot, but I only know how to do one thing, and that's work. I mean, that's really it. I don't know. When I was sick with coronavirus, I was in bed and I was just out of it, and I was going nuts sitting around a house for 4 weeks. So I'm not one of those type of people that can do that. I just need to be active, be moving, be running around, and that's. I've gotten better at picking my spots of where to slow down and take a minute to catch my breath. But it's what do they say? Motion creates commotion,
There you go.
and that's my ending comment.
I love it. I love it. Rich, where can our audience find you?
Well, I'm my website is down right now. We're doing a whole new one. It's a whole new rebranding, but you could find me on Facebook under Richard M. Salgado. You could find me on Instagram under BIG underscore daddy underscore insurers. And I'm on Twitter at Coastal Advisors. And we're pretty active with social media, so you can find me there. And I come up in a lot of different places, different times, a lot of interviews like this one, and I've been featured in a lot of publications, and there's more of that to come. So stay tuned, keep an eye out, and if you need it's free to listen. So if you need insurance advice, feel free to reach out, and it doesn't cost you a thing unless we put a plan in place. And remember, we work for you. We don't work for the insurance company.
We'll end it there. I love that you said it's something that I know the connotation you meant it, but it's something that my grandfather always told me. You just said it's free to listen. My grandfather always used to say, learn to take good advice. It's free.
Yeah.
People don't realize you can acquire so much knowledge, so much information if you just listen. If you just shut your mouth sometimes and listen. Be willing to ask the questions and then sit back and hear the answers.
Yep.
Rich, I thank you so much for all that you've shared. I love what you're doing. I'm so happy that you are on the other side of these illnesses, and you've lost 60 plus pounds. God bless you. Continue good health, first and foremost.
Thank you. Thank you.
And continue success in business. Thank you so much. You are a true power move maker. Well, I appreciate you.
Thank you for having me on. And whenever you need me, let me know.
Absolutely. You be well.
You too. Have a great day.
Cut. Excellent job, buddy. What's up, guys? Thanks for sticking with me to the end of the video. Truly appreciate you. If you like anything you heard here today, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. And if you know anybody that can benefit from this message, feel free to share. Peace and love.